Hey guys, welcome back. It's December 2024, and so somehow that means that we have made it through this year. And I wanted to share with you all how I am spending the next couple of weeks of this year. How am I closing out 2024? How am I finding time to rest? How am I finding time to reframe and reset so that I can step into 2025 more powerfully? And I know we all have so many emotions about the year. At this point, we're like, how did it go by so fast? Like, how did we get here? Did I accomplish anything? Am I where I want to be? And it's okay wherever you are. Like I said, it's the process, it's the journey, it's what happens. But I want to share a little bit more of, again, what this kind of time is looking like for me. And if you've been following me on social media or on my email list, then you know that I just got back from South Africa, and I went with girlfriends on a 10-day trip. And when I say it was amazing, I could not have asked for a better trip, a better experience. We did everything from wine country, going up to Tabletop Mountain. We did a lot of the historical visits, the Apartheid Museum, Robbins Island. We ate good, drank good. It was such a beautiful moment. And to be honest with you, I did not want to go on that trip. I felt like it was coming at such a most inopportune time. This was in November, the last couple of weeks of November, and right before the trip, I was so head down in planning for 2025. And I just felt like I had so much to do, so much work to do. And I was just like, gosh, I really don't want to go on this trip, even though I had booked it months ago. So I knew it was coming up. But I was just like, I just have so much to do, so much that I need to be putting together. And I know so many of you all are like that too. Like, you get so caught up in the doing that you don't actually find time to rest. And that trip gave me, again, the forced break, because again, the flight was booked. So that means I was getting on it regardless, whether it was a good time or not. But it gave me a forced almost 2 weeks of just being able to sit down and, again, let go of the rest, let go of feeling like I always had to be doing and working and progressing. And I realized that in that time of kind of stillness, but just being able to have fun, just being able to relax, to take in new experiences, that it gave me time to actually show up and refuel and really just be more in my power, right? And be more present even as I came back from the trip, and had more clarity even of like what it is that I wanted to create and what it is I wanted to plan, but from a different energy, from a calmer space. And so I don't know, I'm not going to advise you to, book a $2,000 flight and go to South Africa, but I highly recommend that wherever you are, if you're at home, if you're, time in the office, that you take a break, that you take some time for yourself to just rest. And I think it's something that we completely underestimate, because we feel like, again, we have to always be productive, but in us forcing ourselves to be present is how we show up in our power. So I don't know what that looks like for you, if it's just turning off social media, if it's, again, taking a break from the planning of what's next. But I highly recommend that, again, you find some time for stillness, and it really does just, fuel you in a completely different way. So my first tip for you in December is to rest. Now, second, I'm going to say, 2024, like I said, has been an interesting year, and I could go on and talk about all the opportunities that, fell through for me this year. Opportunities, again, that were there for years before that are no longer there. Contracts that didn't come through that were supposed to come through. And I think I've been very vocal about this and transparent throughout the year, but I was like, at first I was like, oh, Q1 kicked my butt, but then it turned out all of 2024, every quarter has kicked my butt, right? I've survived 4 rounds of like defeat and setbacks and letdowns. And there were so many times when I actually, again, was taking the hits, and I felt like and questioned if I could go forward, if I should go forward. And again, for me personally, I had to look back on 2024 and acknowledge these setbacks, acknowledge whatever, if you want to call them failures, whatever you want to, categorize them as. But I've had to step back and look at them and actually find, what was that supposed to teach me, right? What did that failure, what did that setback, what did that lost opportunity, that lost contract, what did it actually give me? And how did it strengthen me? What did it teach me? And how am I stronger? What did I gain from it? And so I think this is such a powerful time and a season for us to reframe whatever the year brought us. And so many times it doesn't look like what we wanted it to look like. It doesn't come in the pretty package in the bowl like that we had imagined the year happening for us. But that doesn't mean that it wasn't a present. And that doesn't mean it didn't give you something and teach you something in this season that's going to help you for the next season that you're stepping into. And so I challenge all of us to write it all down. What were some of those setbacks, and how can we look at them as something that helped us, that gave us something instead of something that took something away from us. And so reframing what happened, what you learned from it, and even your wins, just taking down and taking stock of your wins. And I have obviously some business wins in this year, but even when I step back and look at it, my wins came more so from my family, of how I was able to show up for my family, what I was able to create within my family, from some of the smaller things and ways that I showed up for those who needed me. But also I was able to help coordinate and make happen a larger family reunion of something that we had talked about for years, but we hadn't done since I was in middle school. And just because I kept bringing it up and kept asking the questions like, when can we do this? How can we make this happen? Then a group of my cousins and we got together. You realize we are the generation now to make these things happen. But we got together, we planned everything, and we were able to finally bring our family reunion to life. And so when I look back and I step back and I think about this year, I realized, yes, there were the business wins, but there were so many other wins that showed up in my life. And I think it's so important that we take stock of all of that we realize that wins can show up in our family, in our finances, in our health and fitness, in the mental health. Maybe it was something that you were able to release. Maybe it was something that you were able to give to others. Maybe as a parent, how you were able to show up, maybe in your relationship, how you were able to show up. And so I really want you to take stock of your whole life in its totality, and not just always some of the external things or again, what success has traditionally, we've been told that success should look like. And so that was something that was super, super huge for me, and I'm so grateful for. And so I want us all to take stock of what were the wins, what are we happy, what are we grateful for, what do we want to usher more of in 2025, and also what are some of the things that we need to release. And so my first step was to rest, right? Find some time for stillness. Second is to reframe how this year showed up. I feel like I've talked to so many people, and most people feel like 2024 was not their year, and that's okay. But you are not the same person that you stepped into this year. And so we know that there were lessons, we know that there was growth, we know that there's been progress in this time. And so acknowledge that, acknowledge what this time has given you, and find gratitude in the wins and in the setbacks. And then lastly, obviously we're stepping into 2025, and this is the perfect moment for us to refocus and really think about, what is it that we do want to create? What is it that we want to step into 2025 with? And so I'm also using this time, these last weeks of December, to refocus, right? Because again, getting super clear on what is the vision, where it is that I want to go, and really understanding what's the intention behind it all, really starting with the intention of the things that I want to create, and from there setting my goals. And so those are some of the things that I'm thinking through and really processing, and even understanding that I still get to show up, I still get to create. There's more along this journey. And just because 2024 didn't obviously look exactly the way I wanted it to be, doesn't mean that this journey is over. And so again, finding beauty in every step is super, super important. And obviously I always want to guide you all in finding the beauty in this process, finding the beauty in bringing your dreams to life, because it always isn't pretty, but it always is meant for you, and is building and helping you get closer to where it is you're ultimately meant to be. And so I also want to share with you all some of the journal topics that I am, really creating space to really dive into and think about. So I want to share some of those with you. So I'll be posting them on my Instagram. So if you haven't followed me yet, you can follow me on Instagram at @themichelleblue. But also you can drop below and say 2024 journal, and I will share those journal prompts with you via email. So if you want to go ahead and start diving into and asking yourself some of these deep questions so that you can find rest, reframe, and refocus as we're stepping into 2025, then I want to help you through that process and help provide a guide for you. And let's see, I know I have some events coming up too. I have some workshops coming up. So I'm gonna drop that all in the chat below, all in the video description, so that you know what's coming, how I can support you, and again, so that you know that you're never alone in this journey. So I look forward to speaking with you, and I look forward to supporting you in 2025 as we make this the best year yet. And I'll see you in the next video. Blue.